Talk shows are the perfect place for celebrities to let their personalities shine, promote their new film, song, or book, and just have a nice time in front of their audience. But sometimes the interviews go sideways and all hell breaks loose, leaving the heated exchanges, confrontations, and awkwardness afterward to be all that is remembered of the show's episode. Bet Davies on Dick Cavett Show, 1971. Bette Davis, the iconic actress celebrated for her powerful performances and equally strong personality, brought her formidable presence to The Dick Cavett Show in 1971, creating a compelling and often contentious interview. Davis, renowned for her candidness and assertiveness, engaged in sharp exchanges with Dick Cavett, renowned for his incisive interviewing style. During the interview, Davis didn't hold back, expressing her views passionately on a range of topics spanning from Hollywood's evolving standards to the challenges faced by actresses in the industry. Known for her outspokenness, Davis critiqued contemporary filmmaking trends and addressed the persistent gender biases she encountered throughout her career. Cavett, known for his ability to delve into complex subjects, navigated the conversation adeptly as Davis's opinions sometimes clashed with his own or challenged conventional norms. Their dialogue showcased Davis's unwavering commitment to authenticity and her determination to speak her mind, even if it meant confronting discomforting truths. The 1971 interview on The Dick Cavett Show remains a standout moment in television history, illustrating Davis's enduring influence and her willingness to challenge both societal norms and the entertainment industry's status quo with her uncompromising spirit and formidable intellect. Katherine Hepburn on Dick Cavett Show, 1973. In the annals of rare interviews, Katherine Hepburn's appearance on The Dick Cavett Show in 1973 stands out as a testament to her selective approach to media engagements. Hepburn, known for her fiercely independent spirit and guarded privacy, seldom agreed to interviews unless they met her exacting standards. When she did consent to appear on Dick Cavett's show, it came with conditions. Hepburn and Cavett conducted a pre-interview walkthrough the day before, allowing her to familiarize herself with the studio environment. On September 14, 1973, the scheduled interview took an unexpected turn. Instead of waiting for the planned recording with a live audience, Hepburn, known for her directness, decided to proceed immediately. The crew scrambled to accommodate her impromptu decision, turning what was supposed to be a rehearsal into the actual interview itself. The absence of an audience added an intimate and unscripted element to the exchange, allowing Hepburn to engage with Cavett and his team on her terms. During this recording session, now preserved as an extra feature, Hepburn did not hold back her thoughts about the set. Known for her sharp wit and candid remarks, she provided unfiltered feedback, offering insights into her preferences and perhaps even critiquing elements of the show's production. This spontaneous and candid interaction between Katherine Hepburn and Dick Cavett remains a cherished moment for fans of classic Hollywood and television history alike. It captures Hepburn's essence, uncompromising, opinionated, and always in control of her narrative, even in the midst of an impromptu studio session. Her appearance on Cavett's show stands as a testament to her legendary status and the enduring allure of her enigmatic persona. Helen Mirren versus Parkinson, 1975. In 1975, Helen Mirren appeared on Parkinson, a popular British talk show hosted by Michael Parkinson. The interview is now infamous for its blatantly sexist tone and confrontational nature. As the show began, Parkinson introduced Mirren with a remark that set the stage for the uncomfortable encounter. He labeled her as the sex queen of the Royal Shakespeare Company, immediately reducing her to her physical appearance rather than acknowledging her considerable talent and achievements. The interview quickly escalated when Parkinson asked Mirren if her equipment hindered her from being taken seriously as an actress. This crude reference to her body suggested that her looks overshadowed her abilities and contributions to the theater. The question was loaded with the implication that her physical appearance was a distraction, casting doubt on her professional legitimacy. Mirren, visibly taken aback but composed, pushed back against Parkinson's insinuations. She questioned the appropriateness of his line of questioning, highlighting the underlying sexism. Her responses were firm and articulate, making it clear that she found his comments demeaning and irrelevant to her career as an actress. The tension in the interview was palpable. Mirren's refusal to accept Parkinson's patronizing tone and her insistence on being recognized for her skills and accomplishments rather than her looks made for a confrontational and memorable exchange. This interview is often cited as an example of the challenges faced by women in the entertainment industry who must constantly navigate and combat sexist attitudes. Helen Mirren's poised and assertive responses during this interview not only highlighted her resilience, but also underscored the pervasive gender biases that continue to affect women's professional lives. Joan Rivers versus Oprah Winfrey in The Tonight Show with Jimmy Carson, 1985. In 1985, during an episode of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, Joan Rivers, renowned for her sharp wit and candid interviewing style, found herself in a moment that would become infamous in television history. Oprah Winfrey, then rising in prominence but not yet the global icon she would become, was a guest on the show. What started as a seemingly routine interview quickly took an uncomfortable turn. Joan Rivers, known for her no-holds-barred approach, broached the sensitive topic of Oprah's weight. In a moment that caught many viewers off guard, Rivers remarked on Oprah's physique, suggesting that she intended to lose weight. Oprah, visibly taken aback but composed, responded that she indeed planned to shed some pounds. However, Joan Rivers continued to press the issue, asking Oprah about the specifics of her weight loss plans and how she intended to achieve them. This persistent line of questioning, tinged with Rivers' characteristic humor but also an undeniable directness, created an increasingly tense atmosphere. Oprah, trying to deflect the focus from her weight, attempted to steer the conversation to other topics, but Rivers persisted. The exchange highlighted a clash of styles between the two women. Joan Rivers, known for her provocative and often controversial interviews, and Oprah Winfrey, who was still carving out her path as a media personality and talk show host. Rivers' comments not only put Oprah on the spot, but also highlighted societal attitudes towards weight and appearance, particularly in the public eye. Despite the discomfort, Oprah Winfrey managed to maintain her composure throughout the interview, showcasing her poise and ability to navigate challenging situations with grace. The incident, however, underscored the power dynamics at play in interviews and the sometimes intrusive nature of media scrutiny, especially regarding personal topics like body image. Harvey Pekar on David Letterman's show 1980s. Harvey Pekar's appearances on David Letterman's talk shows have become the stuff of legend, particularly the heated exchanges the two had during the 1980s. Pekar, the famously cantankerous comic book writer known for his autobiographical series American Splendor, frequently clashed with Letterman, creating a dynamic that was both fascinating and unpredictable for the audience. One of the most memorable encounters occurred in 1987 when Pekar launched into a scathing critique of General Electric, the parent company of NBC, which aired Late Night with David Letterman. Pekar accused General Electric of unethical business practices, specifically referencing a lawsuit in Ohio where the company was being sued for selling faulty nuclear reactors across the country. Harvey, this is very bad manners," Letterman interjected, visibly uncomfortable with the direction of the conversation. "I don't care, man. This is very, very inappropriate," Pekar retorted, undeterred by Letterman's attempt to steer the discussion back to safer ground. The tension was palpable, and the audience could feel the genuine discomfort between the host and his guest. This wasn't a prearranged routine. Letterman made it clear that. Pekar's comments were entirely unscripted and unwelcome. The camera captured Letterman's growing frustration as he tried to maintain control of his show, while Pekar refused to back down from his critical stance. Pekar's willingness to speak his mind, regardless of the setting, made these appearances iconic. His confrontations with Letterman were a far cry from the usual light-hearted banter that characterized late-night talk shows. Instead, they offered viewers a raw and unfiltered glimpse into the real tensions that can arise when strong personalities clash. The power struggle between Pekar and Letterman was never more apparent than during these heated exchanges. Pekar's bluntness and refusal to adhere to the norms of polite television conversation contrasted sharply with Letterman's role as the charming, if occasionally sarcastic, host. This dynamic created moments of genuine unpredictability that kept audiences on the edge of their seats. Sher vs. Letterman, 1986. Talk show interviews rarely begin with confrontation and then mellow out. But that was the unique case when Sher made her debut on Late Night with David Letterman. Right from the outset, Letterman addressed the elephant in the room. "You've been avoiding coming on here for years. Why now, after nearly 4.5 years, did you decide to appear?" Sher's answer was elusive. "I thought I had a reason, but I'm not so sure anymore." Curious, Letterman pressed further. "What was the reason you had in mind?" "I needed to pay my hotel bill," Sher responded, her tone laced with tension. In these opening moments, Letterman was intent on understanding Sher's reluctance to accept his invitations, leading to an uncomfortable and tense exchange. "Let's dig into this. Why didn't you want to come on?" Letterman asked pointedly. "Because you thought I was an ass," he guessed, blending humor with a hint of seriousness. Sher's reply was blunt and unexpected. "No, I thought you were an ass." The room fell silent for a moment as the weight of her words settled, clearly not meant as a joke. What was remarkable was how the interview evolved from this point. Instead of escalating, the tension began to ease. As the conversation continued, both Sher and Letterman relaxed, finding a more comfortable and authentic rhythm. The initial awkwardness gave way to a deeper, more genuine dialogue. By the end of the segment, the animosity had faded, replaced by a surprising mutual respect. This interview stands out in Late Night with David Letterman history, demonstrating how even the most confrontational beginnings can transform into meaningful and memorable interactions. Sher's appearance, which started with rare intensity, ultimately showcased the unpredictable and compelling nature of live television. Morton Downey Jr. vs. Seka, 1980s. The pilot episode of The Morton Downey Jr. Show, which focused on the adult film industry, set the tone for the entire series. Right from the start, Downey's interviewing style was aggressively confrontational, designed to put actress Seka on the defensive. Downey fired at her. "Do you agree with the fact that 50% of all porn is controlled by the mob, and 90% of all money made from hard porn through distribution is handled by the mob? Do you believe that? You don't believe that?" His questions are more like accusations than inquiries. Seka, visibly uncomfortable, struggled to respond as Downey continued his relentless barrage. The live audience, reveling in the spectacle, cheered on Downey's savage takedown of his guest. The atmosphere was electric, charged with a sense of impending conflict that Downey expertly stoked. Despite the audience's enthusiasm, the entire scene came across as a sensationalist stunt aimed at belittling Seka for easy ratings. Downey's goal seemed less about uncovering the truth and more about creating a dramatic moment that would captivate viewers. You're damn right it makes them right. I'd much rather hear it from those people who have studied it than from someone who's laid down with everyone they can find in a porn film, Downey declared, his words dripping with contempt. The intensity of the exchange left little room for a genuine discussion, and it's hardly surprising that Seka walked out during a commercial break. The hostile environment created by Downey's aggressive tactics proved too much for her to tolerate. Rush Limbaugh's Encounter, The Pat Sajak Show, 1980s. The most infamous episode of this show didn't even feature the titular host. A couple of weeks before the show's cancellation, Rush Limbaugh took over for an episode focused on a recently vetoed abortion bill. In a move that instantly backfired, Limbaugh asked an audience member for their opinion. This led to a chaotic scene where Limbaugh, who would never experience pregnancy or abortion, faced backlash for his insensitivity. Throughout the episode, Limbaugh struggled to gain control over a restless and vocal crowd that disagreed with his political views. The situation spiraled out of control, creating an atmosphere of tension and discord. The experience was such a disaster that Limbaugh later claimed it was a publicity stunt staged by the show's producers. Another notable moment in talk show history involved Mark Summers and Burt Reynolds on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Unlike slow-building confrontations, this incident escalated almost immediately. Summers and Reynolds exchanged cordial words before bitter jokes, insults, and even physical antics ensued. Summers made a crack about Reynolds' past divorces, which quickly set the stage for a tense and combative interaction. The two appeared on the brink of a fight throughout the segment, with neither coming out looking particularly great. Jay Leno seemed both delighted and terrified by the unfolding drama. While things didn't go as planned, the encounter led to an unforgettable interview segment. Geraldo Rivera's heated interview, 1988. While sometimes arguments arise from unlikely pairings, certain situations are deliberately crafted to incite controversy and hostility. This was evident when Geraldo Rivera invited a member of the White Aryan Resistance Youth and civil rights activist Roy Innis onto the same show. The setup was clearly intended to provoke strong reactions, but the resulting chaos likely exceeded even the most ambitious TV executives' expectations. During the heated exchange, Innis asked the youth members why, if their beliefs and movement were as strong and powerful as they claimed, they were afraid to let others speak and pursue happiness in their own way. The tension escalated quickly, with racist comments being thrown around, and Innis eventually decided to take matters into his own hands. In a dramatic turn of events, the show lost complete control of its guests and audience. The confrontation culminated in a physical altercation, leaving Geraldo Rivera with a broken nose, but a ratings smash. This episode remains one of the most notorious in talk show history, illustrating how deliberately inciting conflict can lead to explosive, albeit highly controversial, television moments. Abel Ferraras' confrontational interview, 1997. Conan O'Brien has interviewed nearly every celebrity imaginable, so his choice of Abel Ferrara as his most difficult guest speaks volumes. From the outset, the accomplished filmmaker appeared as though he would rather be anywhere else. Ferrara, visibly disinterested, gave off a vibe of reluctance and discomfort. "You can beat him up. Why didn't she want you to beat up Harvey Keitel? Tell me why." O'Brien tried to engage, referencing Ferrara's famous film collaborations. Despite Conan's best efforts to ignite a conversation, Ferrara mumbled through fragmented anecdotes involving Madonna and Harvey Keitel. His focus seemed more on fiddling with a cigarette than participating in the interview. While the exchange was undoubtedly awkward, there was an unexpected comedic brilliance to it. The interview concluded with a sort of punchline as O'Brien said, "Abel Ferrara will be right back," capturing the bizarre yet memorable interaction in a humorous light. This encounter remains one of the most notable in Late Night with Conan O'Brien history, illustrating how even challenging interviews can turn into moments of inadvertent comedy. Rosie O'Donnell versus Tom Selleck, The Rosie O'Donnell Show, 1999. In the aftermath of the Columbine High School massacre, The Rosie O'Donnell Show became the scene of a now infamous debate over gun control between Rosie O'Donnell and Tom Selleck. Selleck, who had appeared on the show to promote his romantic comedy, The Love Letter, found himself unexpectedly thrust into a heated discussion about the National Rifle Association, NRA, guns, and the Second Amendment. O'Donnell, a vocal advocate for gun control, seized the opportunity to question Selleck about his association with the NRA. She challenged him on the appropriateness of promoting gun rights in the wake of a national tragedy. O'Donnell's pointed questions put Selleck on the defensive from the start, creating an atmosphere charged with tension. Do you think it's proper to pass legislation at a time of national crisis or mourning? O'Donnell asked, referencing the rush to address gun laws following the Columbine shooting. Selleck attempted to respond diplomatically, acknowledging the sensitivity of the issue. He explained that he did not come to the show to engage in a political debate, but to discuss his movie. Despite his efforts to remain composed and steer the conversation back to his film, the debate escalated. O'Donnell's relentless questioning aimed to hold Selleck accountable for the NRA's positions and actions, which she vehemently opposed. She insisted that Selleck, as a public figure associated with the NRA, bore some responsibility for the organization's stance on gun control. Selleck tried to maintain his calm, stating, "I can't speak for the NRA. I'm not their spokesperson tonight." However, O'Donnell was unyielding. "But you're their spokesperson tonight, so you have to be responsible for what they say," she countered. The back and forth continued, with O'Donnell questioning Selleck's humanity and ethical stance. The exchange grew increasingly heated as it became clear that neither party was willing to concede. Selleck's frustration was palpable as he reiterated, "I didn't come on your show to have a debate. I came on your show to plug a movie. That's what I'm doing here." The circular nature of the argument made it apparent that the discussion was going nowhere productive.